Hi, welcome to this video on the limits of empirical research. Empirical research deals with claims that can be verified through observation and experience rather than through philosophy, logic, or faith. When we think of empirical research, we think of research often in the sciences, the hard sciences, maybe physics or chemistry, maybe biology, biological sciences. And those sciences deal in data that we can see, touch, and measure. But the social sciences also use empirical research methods. And social science is the study of human interaction. It's not quite like physics or biology, but we do use data that can be observed, experienced, and measured. And Berg defines social science as a specific and systematic way of discovering and understanding how social realities arise, operate, and impact on individuals and organizations of individuals. Social scientists look for patterns in the world that can help us better understand human relationships and human realities. There are two main types of social science research. You're probably familiar with these words. Quantitative research often uses experiments and surveys, whereas qualitative research often uses interviews and observations. Although qualitative data is not always quantifiable or numerical, it is considered empirical because it is acquired systematically through listening to, observing, and interacting with others. Empirical research is valuable for answering certain questions, but it is also limited, and we're going to discuss some of those limits. The limits of empirical research really center around value and value judgments and questions of value, specifically what I call should questions or ought questions or best questions. These types of questions imply that there is a way the world should be, even if it doesn't look like that right now. And should questions are about worldview, right? They're about what the world should look like. Questions about virtue and goodness, beauty, truth, ethics, and telos. Telos means the ends or goals of life. And different worldviews have different understandings of the goals and purposes of human life and the created world. Revelation 21 describes part of the biblical telos, the end goal and future state of redeemed humanity. Revelation 21, 3 and 4. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away." These types of questions, worldview questions like telos and goals, value and ethics, can be and should be answered scripturally, but they can't be answered empirically. For instance, should there be prayer in public schools? You could conduct a survey or interviews to find out what people think about that question, but that data won't tell you if there ought to be prayer in public schools. That's a theological and a philosophical question. This type of question gets down deep to our worldview, our values, and our vision for what society ought to look like. This is really the domain of what we might call public theology, how Christian faith is expressed in the community and in the marketplace. Another common question, what is the best method for teaching such and such subject? What is the best leadership approach? There are so many best questions. I remember teaching a class on principles of English language teaching. So many of my students wanted to know, what is the best method for teaching English as a foreign language? And I think they were disappointed to find out that there is no textbook answer to that question. For one thing, best in one context does not necessarily mean best in another. The best ways to teach preschoolers are not always the best ways to teach adults. You can't say something is best, though, without having beliefs about what the world should be like. There's that word should again, right? Should questions. What is good and right and true, as the Apostle Paul says? As Christians, these beliefs need to be formed by the Lord and His Word. And we cannot discover what is good and right and true simply from scientific inquiry. I mentioned telos before. Telos is a Greek word meaning our end or goal. Thus a question like, how can leadership at this institution be improved? That has a telos or a goal in mind. Maxwell points out that even words like improve are based on a value judgment. Improvement requires a belief about a desired future, about a future that should be. So if we can't use research to find out what is best, what can we use it for? That's a very good question. First, research can help us find out what people think and experience. Going back to improvement, maybe our goal is improvement. That's a very good, worthy goal. We can conduct research to find out what people's opinions and beliefs are. This can inform our understanding of improvement. So you could answer the question, how do people think leadership can be improved in this school? Or maybe you can get students' perspectives. What methods do students find most engaging? But what is the right perspective or the goal that we should be striving for comes from our worldview. Speaking of worldview, research can provide evidence for our worldview, evidence for value judgments. Thus, research can inform and critique and expand our understanding of the world. This finishes the video about the limits of empirical research. Thank you for watching.